Hey, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome to the first of our summer Lunch and Learn series. We've done Lunch and Learns in the past where we like to spotlight women in the industry doing really wonderful things. We wanted to bring it to you for the summer because honestly, you're going to be working. You might as well learn some stuff during your lunch break. We wanted to make sure that you had connections to the industry and a lovely connection to Women Grow. So today we're thrilled to present our next installment of our Lunch and Learn series focused on pride. And we're celebrating diversity and entrepreneurship with three amazing leaders in the industry. And I'm going to introduce them all and bring them up so that we can jump right into our conversation. Our first guest is Jay Graham, the CEO and co-founder of Mary J. Lisa Snyder, the co-founder of Tokeativity, and Amber Center, CEO at MAKR and chairman of the board at Supernova Woman. Good afternoon, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad to see you. I feel like I'm with my friends,
Yeah.
So this is wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time. I know you're all traveling all over the country. I know Lisa's out in Portland technically, but she's here today in New York with me. Jay's in Austin and Amber's all over the world, but now you're in Chicago, but home base is in California. Thank you so much for joining us today. So I wanted everyone to take a minute to kind of introduce themselves. We're going to do like a clockwise situation from my vantage point. The first person would be Lisa. Lisa, take a moment and introduce yourself.
First of all, thank you so much for having me and for having us and for centering pride in this conversation. I'm really excited to be with you all. My name is Lisa Snyder. I'm the co-founder of Tokeativity. We're the global feminist community for active cannabis culture. We've hosted over 350 consumption events around the globe. Before the pandemic, we had up to 20 chapters and we wound down that program, but we're really excited to get back out there and connect with our community in cities. We were in Austin recently in March with Jay, opening up her social club, supporting her in that. And recently, just this past Saturday, we hosted a collaborative effort here in New York City with Cannadiva and the Cannadiva community. And it was so fun and awesome. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of the community. I'm an out lesbian. I have been since 1999. I'm excited to talk about weaving that into the cannabis industry and how that, shakes up my world.
Thank you, Lisa. Jay?
Yes. Hello, everyone. And Tanya, thank you for having us. So I am Jay Graham, the co-founder of Mary J here in Austin, Texas. And like we discussed, like Lisa said, a social club. We have a social club as well, and that's where I'm at. But we're an inclusive, women-owned dispensary in Austin, Texas. And we push the limits and we provide a safe space for our community. We do amazing events. Now we have a social club so we can consume cannabis safely together. But I am here for my women, my LGBTQ plus community, and my people of color. This is exactly why we started this and why we have this space, so we can all be safe together.
Thank you so much, Jay. And Amber.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amber Center. I am CEO of MAKR and co-founder, executive director, and chairman of the board of Supernova Women. Oh, I want to make sure I say thank you so much, Tanya, for having me today. Thank you, Women Grow, for this platform. Women Grow has been supporting women for a very long time, and really appreciate the space that they create for us in the industry. So MAKR, my money-making entity, how I take care of myself. We are a house of brands. So we make cannabis-infused products that resonate with our community. But also, not only are we a cannabis company, we are a coffee company as well, which is pretty interesting. We have two brands, Landrace Origins and Disco J's. Landrace Origins pairs coffee, single origin coffee from around the world with Landrace Cannabis that is also from around the world. And Disco J's is a brand that really celebrates disco culture, which disco comes from Black and brown queer and women communities, and really celebrates that. So it tells a story instead of just an infused pre-roll, and it is a pre-roll too, so that's pretty cool. Supernova, my nonprofit venture, really supports and creates space for Black and Brown folks in cannabis, creating opportunities for Black and Brown people, but centering women of color. So we do educational events. We issue grants to social equity and Black and Brown operators. We've issued $55,000 in grants. We do a number of things. We also worked with the City of Oakland to implement Create the First Social Equity Program in the country. So that was back in 2016. So we've been around since 2015, which is a really long time in cannabis years. I feel like an old person in cannabis. But yeah, we've been here at the beginning since day one, and just constantly working to remove barriers for folks like us in cannabis.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, so let's jump in right with some questions. I'm gonna start with Jay. So I have a list. So, but again, we're just chatting. But if anyone has any comments about the stuff that we're talking about and you want to jump in, let's just do that. So in what ways do you think the cannabis industry can create a more inclusive and supportive environments for entrepreneurs or the community at large? How do we do that? What was your suggestion?
Well, like I said earlier, I am the retailer. And I do go to a lot of trade shows where I get educated and I see products. It would be amazing. I've only been to one show that I've seen this. They actually had a panel and a session for the queer culture and community. And I was like, what is this about? And there was like 5 of us. I was like, hey, when there's like hundreds of people at this convention. So to see that, I would love to see more of that carved out for us. And even in trade shows with retail, I would love to see, I don't see that. I really don't see, I have to go search for my people to get them on my shelves. So to carve out that space in trade shows or sessions, I think that would be amazing. I want to see more of that.
Well, kind of you're doing that now because in reality, you've carved out this social space in your location to make sure that people do have a safe space, which is kind of awesome. Yeah, which I cannot wait to get down to Austin.
I can't wait
if
to
I go to Texas anyway, I'm going to Austin. I don't think there's anywhere else I need to be besides Austin.
Let me take care of you. This will be your first spot. You come from the airport to Mary J, and then we come to the social club. I will get you right.
I cannot. My business coach lives out there, but that's a whole other conversation.
I love it. Yes.
Okay, Amber, how have your experiences as a queer woman influenced your journey in this industry?
Sure. So I am a masculine presenting woman. So often when people see me, they see all of me right away, right? They see Blackness, they see queerness, and they see a woman. So my existence is resistance. I have no choice but to be who I am, and that just intimidates people right off the bat. And because of that, I usually have to fight for my space. And that has really just brought this whole kind of vibe to like who I am and what I do in everything, So I'm constantly just having to fight to be who I am and just exist. So it's kind of natural to me to be able to not just fight for myself, but also fight on behalf of my community. So I am always here just, really fighting for everybody, So
why I know Supernova Women came into effect for the reasons to supporting women of color, but was there part of that was to just be overarching, to just provide space for people?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we came about because we saw this need for women of color to have a space, and we just created that, all of our events, even before we start the event, we kick it off usually with a speech around like, hey, This space is actually for women of color. This space prioritizes it. If you are not a woman of color and there's one speaking, you need to step back. We start every event that way. And it's because that's the space that we're creating. You know, we actually had an issue at our very first event. This white man who was like, hey, listen, you guys need to be grateful to us for this and that and the third, which was really crazy. And people like chased him out of there. He actually ended up leaving mid-event. So after that, we were really, really intentional about setting the tone and what to expect when you come into our space.
I love that.
Yeah.
Lisa, right? My question for you is, how important is it to you? How important is it for LGBTQ individuals, especially women, to have representation and visibility in the cannabis entrepreneurship space in particular?
Well, I think all of us sitting here know that it is very important, and representation is very important. We want to be able to see ourselves in our colleagues and our, the people that we're working with and the people around us. And if we don't see that representation, we question if is this for me, And so I think I'm femme presenting lesbian woman, and my wife is masculine presenting woman. And I know for her, and she's not in cannabis, but for her, representation out there really matters in all spaces, because she's the one kind of pushing the limits. Like Amber said, I don't know if you didn't say rebelling, but it's kind of your resistance, right? It's you just sort of you are yourself. Your presence is your resistance to patriarchy, and because you're just who you are. And so, of course, it's absolutely, important to have representation beyond Pride Month. You know what I mean? I love and have come to love, and I know it's a spectrum of feelings about it, but I've come to love, I want to see rainbows everywhere. It's okay that some of these businesses are waving their flag and whatever. And of course, that could be totally different. And it was different for a very long time. So I think that we're just weaving in that representation, really going beyond Pride and putting that out there for companies to, have these, have representation, center that in their, business practices, seeking out diversity of all kinds, and not being afraid of, different folks who present differently.
Yeah, absolutely. 110%. I see Kat is in the audience over there. I saw your wife over there chiming in. Yes.
Oh, cool. I can't see it over there, but oh, I see. Yep.
Yes. So Amber, in the developing of your brand, and I know that you mentioned that it is focused on it's fun, it's bright, it's sparkly, it makes you feel good. Was that a strategy to be kind of all encompassing and to be able to have touch points in all communities? Or was it just you like shiny things and we just want to make it fun?
Oh, it was very intentional. Listen, queerness is an expression, right? And it's loud. We're loud, we're proud, we're here. I wanted the same thing to come through in my products, I am here and undeniable and shiny, and you're going to want me, I
love that so much. And you're going to want me because I'm shiny and I'm pretty. I love that.
Everybody loves something shiny, So, Disco J's was incredibly intentional. Everything about it, the sparkles, the story, the name, everything, very, very intentional, because it's an expression of who I am. I stand out, just because of existing. I want my products to do the same.
I love that, because my question was, can you share any strategies or initiatives you've implemented with your business to foster queer spaces and support your employees and so on and so forth? And I know a lot of your team also identify, you have an inclusive team, and I know that was intentional, but how do you suggest people replicate that, where you're intentional about your initiatives and what you want to work towards?
Yeah, I just really wanted to have my people that are like me. Like, I just wanted to have space and create space for them in a work environment that we like, So it was really just me, like, talking to people in my community and welcoming them. Even though it is intentional, but it's like these are people that identify like me, So it wasn't hard for me to do that. How others can do that are not queer, or yeah, that are cis hetero people. Just I look at my supply chain, and not all of my supply chain partners are queer. We've got women cultivators. We've got people of color that are our distributors. We've got our manufacturer, who is a white man but employs primarily Black and brown people and queer people. And even the people that we work with throughout our supply chain are very diverse. And that was definitely very intentional by us. And I just want to make sure that when my company is interacting with our supply chain, that we are also all in alignment. I don't want to be working with somebody who is intimidated or scared of me and my staff and things like that. So yeah, I mean, really, it was just a matter of like doing what's right and working with the best people, and the best people happen to be women, queers, Black and brown people. You know what I mean?
I'm going to actually roll the same question to Jay. I know that your intention of opening the space was, again, your community wanted more.
Yes.
Is there anything that you're doing at the space right now to kind of like foster this space or engage the community outside, maybe even just outside of, cannabis specifically, but just like in general, in your area, in your community?
Definitely. I've opened this space up, not just the cannabis community, but anybody that's queer owned, another business that we can collab with. We are throwing a cancer awareness party July 29th here, and we're going to raise money for two people in our community and give that money directly to them. And that's what this space is about. And we're partnering with people that aren't even in cannabis, but they are queer, and they celebrate, and they want to uplift our people. And I mean, that's why this space is here. So yes, I partner with everyone, and there's so many of us here in Austin. So it's beautiful, the people that are reaching out. We just had a pride party, our very first, not first, but second, first in the social club, but we had a drag show and a burlesque show, and it was fantastic. And you guys, it was so amazing because at the end of the show, I had multiple companies come up to me and said, I've got 1,000 ideas. We're going to go to lunch. Like, we're going to make some stuff happen. I'm like,
Amazing.
yes. And this is what I wanted to know. So I'm personally out in the streets, out in my community, looking for people to partner with. And I always shout out, and I'm always out and about, like coffee shops and shopping and things like that. So letting people know that we are here. And so to hear that it's working and those people came and they want to collab and they want to uplift our people, it just is beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
Lisa, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts about the role of LGBTQ brands in creating opportunities, mentorship, support systems? We've had conversations about that on our one-to-one chats. But what are your thoughts about the roles of brands doing that type of work?
I feel like we're always doing that type of work because it just comes naturally to us because we want to be around each other. So I feel like the LGBTQ community, when you do get this forward momentum and support, and you're in your thing and you're doing it, you are already seeking out like the kind of people that you want to be around and the kind of people you want to work with. And effort, sometimes it's a little efforting depending on where you are in the country, and sometimes it's been really easy because you've been surrounding yourself with your people your whole life. So it is really important, and I really want to see more like leaders in the LGBTQ space like speaking up about their brand and that they are queer, or whatever they identify as, because that adds the representation out there in the world. And that I would love to see more queer cannabis things. I know that they're starting to like rise up a little bit now that we're getting a lot of markets more like niche down a little bit, if you to use that language, you know, like where it's not just about smoking weed and doing the weed business, but it's about like all of these sub communities that have been a part of the weed community rising up and feeling more comfortable speaking out about that intersectionality, you know?
That I think is really a sweet spot, because there are people like, you know, when I do the work at Cannadiva, most of our community is women, but not everyone is really in cannabis in the industry per se. They're just cannabis loving chicks, you know what I mean? And we realize that part, you know, sometimes we are in our own bubble of industry bubble, and there are people that, you know, you all create a product or services for the community. And I think when we all do that, like Lisa and I coming off an event, it's so wonderful to have people in an event realize that this industry, this cannabis industry, has provided a space for the masses, like for everyone. And I think that's something that I think we all could be really proud of, because even though we are all women and we all care about our communities, I think it's kind of like an innate thing, but we, by nature of who we are and by being queer people, create this space for people to come in and be themselves. And I think that that's just something that we should really be happy and proud about.
I want to add on that, like with a space of adding, you know, why do we do this is because a lot of queer folks have been ostracized from their own families. So we create our families. We create the people that we want to be our family. That doesn't happen for everybody. It happens to a lot of people. You know, they're not totally accepted. And so I think we're just natural community builders, and that has really assisted in the evolution of the cannabis industry.
Yes. Love that. So if you were talking to, and I'm just going to bounce this around to everybody, if you were talking to a young queer person who you wanted to invite into the industry and say to them that it's okay, like what would you tell them? Like, how would you welcome a queer person into this industry? And I'm going to start with Jay.
I would invite them into my space. And literally, like, whether it's the shop or whether it's the club, and we do daily classes as well. We have where you can come work here. Yes, like this space is open. You can co-work during the day. We can party at night. But I invite them, and I've actually had that question a lot. I have a lot of people that come in and ask me, I am this person, like, how do I be like you and how do I start? And I'm like, come, be around the people that are like-minded. You will network, you will meet, and you can see and you can learn. And just invite them into my space, because I want to see them grow too. I am about uplifting my people. That's why I put them on my shelves. So yes, I would invite them in and take care of them.
How about you, Amber?
Well, you know, I look at the history of cannabis and how medical cannabis came to be from a number of queer folks, right? Like we've got Dennis Perone, Wayne Jutman, Brownie Mary, right? These are all these folks who really established our medical cannabis program and created access for people in the beginning, back in 1996. And then fast forward to the social equity movement, and we've got a number of Black women queers that have really paved the way and set the tone for this new iteration of cannabis and where we're headed. And I'm talking about myself, Cheney Turner, Lanice Martin, and these are Black women queers, you know, that have really changed the narrative and shifted and disrupted the space. And this is what queers do, right? We come in and we shift the narrative, and we shape things the way we want. So I would encourage folks that are queer that are looking to get into cannabis, like, hey, you can be a disruptor in this space. We can mold this industry the way we want it. You know, I mean, it's not easy, but we're doing it, you know? So If you want to come in, you want to shake things up, you want to be a change maker, you want to establish yourself, like that is very doable in cannabis.
I agree. Lisa, what would you do?
Well, I feel like, first of all, looking to queer colleagues out in the space for mentorship and support, there's a few of us here. I'm sure many, many more. Look to them, look to people who they have on their shelves or who they're working with, who we are working with to, who are we aligning with? If you're, not sure, who's out there, who's out in the world and with their identities and whatnot. I think also like anybody who and any folks who are queer folks who are looking to get into cannabis, taking really some time to reflect as to like why you want to be involved in the cannabis industry and really harness that energy. It is something that I feel like all of us can say here has carried us forward, and it is always like a personal story that has connected us to this work. And if you don't have that connection, that it is going to be really tough to hold on with the roller coaster rides that happen in the cannabis space all the time. You have to be in it for the love of it. You have to be in it for the plant and the medicine and the healing of it. And if you are trying to just make money here, it is not it's not the number one thing. It has to be weaved into your work, and you will absolutely discover that along the way. And I want to also add in like, really relying on your own intuitive guiding system, like listening to your body and your body's messages is something I continue to be reminded of pretty much every day, of like, there's information that it's telling you, and to tune into that and to have that be your guiding system in any space, including cannabis.
I get that 100%. I've been doing more of that lately. Because I realize like sometimes I don't feel good and I should go home. Like when you're going into business and you don't feel good, that's kind of like your body telling you maybe you should go home. But acknowledging your body is a big deal. So I want to flip it the other way now, because I want to talk about those who view themselves as allies, wanting to come into queer spaces. What would you tell someone who wanted to connect with a queer brand or queer-led brand, and they may not be? What would be the way to form a partnership or instigate a relationship? Because like we said before, sometimes people just don't know how to navigate because it's foreign to them. You know what I mean? But just trying to be as inclusive as possible. How would you want someone to instigate a partnership or to say, I want to work with you? And I'm going to start with Lisa.
I guess what first thought, just imagining someone coming up to me and was like, hey, I know that you are a lesbian woman and like, I want to work with you or whatever. I would welcome them acknowledging that and seeing how they can center that. And even them going out of their way to acknowledge that, I think is like a step. You know what I mean? I do think it's really interesting how Pride kind of brings out like this next leveling of people who really are like super supportive, and then they go back into their own worlds. Like it was like just Pride Month is like where I do my support, I check all my boxes, and then I kind of move on. It's like that kind of needs to continue. And maybe a little experiment someone out there can do is like once a month or more, seek out someone other than someone that looks like you or is in the same space, and you will really find yourself expanding and diversifying your network, and it will lead you to all kinds of good things.
100%. I agree with that. 100%. Thank you. Jay, what's your thought?
So kind of like Lisa, like if they're coming to me and they're a brand and they want to be on my shelves, or they're a person that's coming and they want to be in the industry and space, first, that mutual respect. I mean, if we vibe, I love it. I'm not going to turn my people away, but I do have very strict regulations of what goes on my shelves in my shop, and that is for my people in the community. So I do give a lot of guidance to people and tell them, hey, make sure to do this, this, and this, and come back to me. But I respect the mutual respect. And If they come to me with respect, I'm always open arms. And so I want to see them succeed. But like Lisa said, I don't want to see it just once a month. I want to see it continuously. Yeah.
I agree.
Because people come into our shop and like, where's the queer? Oh, and I said, here. Like, what do you want to see? That needs to be more.
And it's there all year round, not just in June. It's there all year round.
Yes.
I love that. Amber, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I've been thinking as everyone's been talking. We don't really need allies. We need accomplices. The LGBTQ community is really being attacked right now. So I would want whatever kind of partnership it is, if someone is approaching me in a partnership, to be much more than something covered in rainbows. Like, it's got to be something that's actually got some impact.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So something that's going to end up contributing to moving the needle as far as what our rights are. And so give me money. Give me money towards something. Give us money towards something. Let's work on something larger than just making sales. We need accomplices right now, more than ever.
Can I add to this? And I'm kind of curious about this in general, but like, if we want more accomplices in cannabis, and there's maybe a company out there that like didn't do the right thing a long time ago or whatever, but really wants to support an effort forward. How does one grapple with a company who wants to give money, and you can do something good with that money, but that company might not be 100% in alignment with your values? What are your thoughts about that?
Bye, Felicia.
Uh-huh.
Straight up. I do what feels good in my heart. And if this plant is magical and the people deserve it. And I feel like you should be genuine and you should be completely wholeheartedly the whole time. And that's the people and energy that I want. So I do my research. Trust me, people want to come in and be on the shelves, and it takes months before I can figure out if they're going to be on the shelf. And I do find a lot of that, and I just don't have time for that energy to bring it into my space and my people.
I understand that 100%. I get that 100%. Thank you for that. That was a great point.
Yeah, I've been burned too many times, so I have to be careful for my people.
Yeah, and then the community does respond. So the community does respond.
Yes, they do.
And let me see what else I got. So right now we just want to pivot because I want to start like wrapping up. I know we're doing a lunch and learn, so we'll leave people time to eat. But I wanted to say, like, speaking to women coming into the space, people that are already here and maybe not where you are. You have a brand on the shelves, Amber. You have a full coffee line. You do all this not-for-profit work. Jay, you have a shop. You've had a shop for quite a while now, and it's expanding and growing. Lisa, Tokeativity is doing amazing things. And I know you are like the tech genius. I don't even think people know the tech genius that you are. So if someone's looking at us, and I've been here a minute, like a 30-year minute, but that's a whole other conversation. People coming in and not being where we are. My role, I'm always catching a newbie like somewhere, but what words would you tell someone really wanting to enter the space? What do they need to do? What words of advice or wisdom would you share with them? Not from a queer lens, just from a woman lens. What would you share with someone to come into cannabis? Why are we here? I'm gonna start with Amber.
Okay. What words of advice? Find your tribe, right? Like my group of friends is so supportive. We, as cannabis entrepreneurs, we have a lot of different obstacles than regular entrepreneurs. So I would say, find a group, create a support network. Not necessarily find it, but you're gonna have to create it. And this industry is hard, right? Like it takes a lot of grit to be able to make it. And I'm using "make it" loosely because I don't necessarily know a whole lot of people that have made it yet. Right? So that's up for discussion as far as what that even means.
Yeah.
But and give yourself some grace, right? Like, I know a lot of people that say that think they're failing, think they're not doing well. Like, no, you're doing fine, So also offer yourself some grace because this is very difficult, highly regulated, capital intensive, um, complicated industry to navigate. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. Lisa?
Well, I'd mentioned earlier about tuning into your intuition and really understanding your connections to the plant. Like, both my parents died of cancer when I was in my 20s, and I didn't realize by moving to Oregon and having legal cannabis in 2015 would sort of lead me to weaving in my like feminist roots with activism, but like it is such an important part of the movement that like normalization is a part of this, and that means talking about it and being out there in spaces. As far as like the industry aspect goes, I would absolutely recommend, besides using your intuition as your navigation system, is to diversify your network. There are many different groups, there are many different organizations, there are many different nonprofits, all this stuff. And don't just join one, join several of them that you feel called to. And I think it's really going to help you understand the different perspectives of those communities, those nonprofits. Also, if you can, join leadership positions. If inquire about boards and being advisor on things, and add your perspective wherever you can, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
I say that all the time. Jay, how would you what advice would you give to a woman entering the space?
I get it all the time. They come into the space, just do it. You're not too old. You're never too late. If the idea is already done, they're not going to do it like you. No one makes spaghetti the same way. And that's what I tell people all the time. And like Amber said, it is fucking hard and you have to have grit. I have wanted to quit so many times, and I've told people, nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows. There are no rules. We make up everything as we go.
Thank you.
That's what we do the next day. That's what we do the next month. That's what we're doing for the year. Like, there are no rules. So come aboard. Do what's in your heart. Stick to what you love, what your passion is. You might see others doing well and doing better things, but if that's not you, it's not going to work. Stick to what you love, your passion, and do it. Just take the jump. Do it.
Take the jump. I mean, I love like what Amber said about finding your tribe. And I know Amber's CMO is like a college friend. Like, you went to college, and you and Sarita back in the day, which I'm sure is not that far back. But I love that you
over 20 years. It was wild.
Yeah. Over 20 years.
Almost
right?
25 years. It was wild.
Going into business with people that you know and love, which is amazing. Lisa has always been a person to know who she is and kind of navigate the space. Like, I've known Lisa, I think we've known each other almost 20 years, if not pre-cannabis. Like, we've known each other pre the industry, and then found ourselves here, which I always think is really cool.
We're looking at each other's Instagrams being like, you got weed stuff on your feed. What's going on over
here? Wait, what? And you were out in Portland already, and I was still here in New York. So it just like, jump in. And honestly, what I also realize about this space is it is so, people think that you need to come in this space and be a grower. You know what I mean? Or you need to open a retail shop, or you need to do something massive, You don't. And I was thinking, I think you have to be a good follower before you can be a good leader. So join a team, learn how this stuff works. Stay really educated with these damn regulations and all this. It's hard, but it's not too hard. It's not that hard, and it's not hard enough to keep you out. So come on in. We're all waiting for you, and there's cookies in here, and they're infused. No, I'm kidding. So ladies, thank you so much. Amber of MAKR House and Supernova Woman, Jay of, Mary J, and Lisa of Tokeativity. Ladies, thank you so much. Right, Tokeativity, yes. And I will be out in Austin sometime soon. My coach would love me to come out and visit.
I
And
can't wait.
thank you for just being amazing and spending this time with me. Go eat some lunch. Well, it's morning for some of you. Some of you it's like way before lunchtime, but either way, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.